I decided to address these thistles again. Ouch. This is a good time because they are flowering, and when I chop them down now, it will be very hard for them to come back, at least not very vigorous. As bad as this looks, it doesn't compare to how we found this place 2 years ago. When we came here 2 years ago, there was cattle on this pasture, and we have had horses and goats that are supposed to eat everything, right, on this paddock. None of our animals eat the thistles, and obviously the cattle wasn't eating the thistles, otherwise they wouldn't have been here. Trust me, this is nothing compared to how I found it 2 years ago, and I have been steady Eddie maintaining this paddock, the whole thing, as a day-to-day practice. It's manageable right now. It needs to be managed still, otherwise it will just go back to wilderness very, very soon, because the infestation of thistles and burdock is still there. I think we got on top of the ragweed, courtesy of the horses that are keeping it nicely mowed in between the thistles and the burdock. So that part is, I would say, remedied, but we still have an enormous amount of thistle in this area and an enormous amount of burdock further down in the tree farm. It is quite satisfying to notice how much my work over the last 2 years have paid off, because, man, when I started to rehabilitate this pasture 2 years ago, it literally took me weeks to just clear this pasture alone. There was a massive amount of ragweed that had already gone to seed, so I had numerous burning piles going here to try to destroy the seed bank. Landowners are required by law, it's a bylaw, to stay on top of noxious weeds, such as thistles, burdock, and ragweed. I think we are on top of the ragweed. I haven't seen any in quantities that are a concern. I really did a thorough job 2 years ago, and the horses have stayed on top of it ever since. God bless them, and they do a fantastic job, except with the shit they don't like to eat, like thistles and burdock. And then it is up to the human stewards of the land to make sure that no invasive species are getting the upper hand. I'm just going to do the whole paddock. I'm going to start here and just make my way around and slice and dice whatever I don't want to keep establishing itself. It's a nice enough day to do it, and since it looks like we're going to be here for a little longer, it's the least I can do. Keep maintaining this property to the highest standard so that it can be put on the market right away when we leave. You're welcome. Ouch. 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 There were a lot more stones here when we came here 2 years ago. The ones that are buried, I left, and the rest I piled up under the trees so that I could maintain this without wrecking my equipment. We did an enormous amount of work in here to make it look like this and to help in maintenance moving forward. This paddock is now manageable. It is manageable, and that was the goal all along, to bring it back into a manageable place. It still needs to be managed, because if we were to leave this paddock by just walking away or assuming whatever animals are pastured here will look after it, I'm afraid that's not gonna work. To rehabilitate this paddock needs maintenance from here on, or it will just go back to wilderness. And that would be a waste of an enormous amount of capital investment in fencing alone in a valuable piece of equipment, the Ritchie automatic water that required water and hydro. So that is a considerable investment. Letting this paddock go and turn it into a wasteland would be a waste. It doesn't make any economic sense to put this much time, resources, money into an infrastructure that you then let go to pieces and it becomes an eyesore and useless. How does that make any flipping sense? How does that make any sense? I rest my case and I will go back to work to continue managing this paddock so that it looks great and that it is functional. And a joy to keep animals in, horses or cattle or goats or all of the above. A beautiful place to hang out in, a park-like setting. The Garden of Eden, somewhere in southern Ontario. I will get back to work on your behalf to maintain this lovely property to the highest standard. Anime Gold standard. You're welcome. It's a bit of a job, but it is very satisfying to see how quickly it cleans up. I am really happy with how much my work over the last 2 years is paying off. This is what I was hoping for. We're not there yet, but in 2 years, nobody would ever know that this was what it was. We're doing good. The first year, it took something. It literally took me weeks to clear this area all by hand because it was full of debris, branches, big limbs. It was a mess. So we couldn't get in here with any equipment. Eventually I was able to drive our little lawn tractor in, but I prefer these hand tools. First of all, they're ecological. I'm not burning any gas. Second of all, they help me look like $1 million because I get regular exercise, so that's good. Gets my heart pumping. Last summer I was really on the ball. I would not let anything grow up past a certain height. this year I just couldn't do it. There was so much going on in our life that needed our continuous attention that I couldn't. But that was okay, because it gave me a good window into where we are at as far as the rehabilitation of this paddock, and I am happily surprised how well it stood up. It may take me another hour and then all of the rest of these thistles will be down, and I'll ask my son to clean them up. This is perfect for on the compost heap. It will make for a very rich and potent compost. Thistles draw nutrients from very, very, very deep in the ground. That makes them also so tenacious, because their roots are very, very, very deep. They're tough bitches to eradicate. I relate to them, but that doesn't mean that I'm not gonna chop their heads off. Ow! Oh shit. Oh, Jeff is not gonna like that. That's not good. Okay.